Hello, welcome to David Eames on Your Mind, a conversation between friends about mental health issues. Hello, and welcome to David Eames on Your Mind. We're in a new venue today, gracefully provided by the wonderful Mikey Markham.
Thank you.
We're going to be in here for the foreseeable future. I'm also joined by Owen Oxley, and today we're going to be talking about love. Owen, what is love?
It's everything for me. I think love is it's the driving force. It's what makes me do things and makes me stop doing other things. Ultimately, which I know seems a bit strange, but I suppose I'm quite fortunate that I've been with Stace, my wife, since I was 17, 41 now. And we've got 2 kids, we've got dogs, we've had other pets and all the rest of it. And our house is built essentially on love. We just always accepted each other for whatever, because it always felt that our feelings towards each other were always far more important than the shitty issue at hand. I mean, we have started to find that because we've been together for such a long time that all your normal run-of-the-mill arguments are sort of waning off, and now we are really reducing arguments down to the finite nonsense of stupidness. But ultimately, overall, love always comes back, and it's always like I say, the driving force. It's why I get up. Mm-hmm. I think. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I don't know if that's right.
Well, that's your opinion.
It's for me, yeah.
Sounds pretty close. Mikey, what do you think love is?
Similar feeling there, but I think it is down to a feeling, love. I mean, there's lots of levels and layers of love, like romantic love that I feel for Chrissy, love that I feel for you guys. I really was looking forward to you coming today until I had to change all these camera angles around. But I think
I'm just helping you to get it right, Mikey.
Yeah, I did want to get it right for you, David, because I love you.
There you go. Yeah, the end.
And no, it really is a feeling. And I can't articulate that feeling very well, but I know when I'm thinking of that person or I'm spending time with that person and I get caught with that moment, it's the most beautiful feeling ever. So I'd say it's one of the most strongest emotions you can go through. It is what holds everything together. It's the glue. But I do honestly find it so hard to express it and explain it sometimes. It is just... Like last night, me, Chrissy and Ella are all together in this new house that we're in, and we've been through a real turbulent 3 months. It's been the hardest 3 months of my whole life and existence so far, and I've been through some shit.
Yeah.
And, you know, even my cat's come over, actually. I even get emotional now talking about it, but we sat there, we're all in the same bed, got the TV on with Harry Potter, and this glow just came over me, and I felt this buzz, and it wouldn't move over, it wouldn't dissipate. It was just there for the whole night. Where I've had, do you know, you get goosebumps, of little moments, and it's like, oh, that was nice.
Yeah,
that was an hour of just. Yeah. So that's what love is to me.
Like someone to put a coat hanger in your mouth.
Yeah, amen, brother. Yeah. Have you had them moments, David?
All the time, yeah. Was the time early in a relationship where maybe, you know, put a coat hanger in my trousers, but less so these days. But I mean, that's the difference, isn't it? That if you like romantic love in the early stages of a relationship, it's more about lust, isn't it, than anything else?
Yeah.
But that deep love, the familial love, the companionship love that you're going to sustain over a long time. I mean, I've been married 45 years in May. God willing, not that there is a God, but somebody willing.
Yeah.
And
so,
maybe she'll stick it out for another couple of months.
Yeah.
But it's I believe that long-term love is a choice as well. What do you think about that idea, Owen? Do you think you get to choose to love someone?
I'm not sure. I genuinely consider myself really fortunate that I honestly think I found my soulmate so early in life, and it's difficult to know anything else because that's what I've always experienced. But it's one of those things where, like with your children, there's not a choice. It is just always there. Like, you seem to love them more when they've done something stupid. So my eldest is now 14. I was at work the other day in Leicester. Stace was in Derby at a pumpkin picking thing with with my other kids, nieces and sister-in-law. My eldest had who was 14, who would have a phone glued to her hands every minute of every day, is in the house on her own. So we've started so that she can stay in because she doesn't want to do everything with the family. That's fine. Make sure your phone's on, blah, blah, blah. So I get a phone call at work, an hour away from home. Have you heard from Millie? I said, no. I never hear from her. I'm her dad. She hates me. She says, okay. Did you see her when you left? I said, of course. I left. I locked the door. I went to work, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I've been trying to get hold of her for an hour. At this point, my heart explodes because of the frustration, but it's because of the deep down love for this person. And essentially, fast forward a long story, we were both trying to get hold of her for about 3 hours. Obviously, from start to finish, I'm ringing the neighbours. Can you knock on? Can you go around, knock on like you're the police? And that was probably the worst thing I did, because once I realised that he couldn't get hold of her, then I really started panicking an hour away. Fast forward to Stacey getting home, she came in and she was there. And she went, oh, sorry, my phone was on charge. Which you looked and it had like 1,000 missed calls. And the rage that I had in me all the way driving home instantly melted away when I saw her, because I just not burst into tears, but I was just so broken. And it was from love, because if that was a mate that had made me feel like that, I'd have probably smacked him in the mouth. But also because I probably loved him. Do you know what I mean? I think it's when you care about something and when something's important to you and something matters, it's difficult to be able to turn that off. I think I struggle to be able to turn it off because it's such a natural feeling.
I think love of a parent for a child is a different sort of quality.
Yeah,
but not always, Mikey?
100%.
Yeah.
I know that feeling. yeah, trust me.
But
my mum's not tuning into this.
Yeah. not all parents feel it the same way.
No.
But that's the thing, that idea that there's nothing that your daughter can do, either of your daughters can do, to lose your love.
Ever.
But even there's a choice involved in how you express it, because the choice is to accept and forgive, I think. That where love feels automatic, we can still exercise to show that love more and to feel it more as a consequence. What do you think, Mikey?
I feel... I listened to Louis C.K., have you heard him? The comedian.
Yeah.
And he was talking about...
Controversial comedian now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, recently cancelled.
Yeah.
He's back around now.
He's
had one called Sorry out and one called Sincerely. And they were both... they got Grammys and stuff, and incredible. But he spoke about when he had his daughter, and he thought that... is it the...
Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Can you hear that?
No?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't.
Excuse me. It was, I don't know, I thought it felt like someone was doing...
Is this mic bouncing?
It's because it's on that there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, note taken.
Okay. No.
Some editing to do, Mikey Markham.
Apologies, Mikey. Sorry to cut you off for that, mate.
We don't have to edit it.
I wouldn't edit that out. I would leave it in. I would leave it in.
He's a real boy.
Yeah,
of
course.
That.
Yeah.
When Louis C.K. was talking about the birth of his child and how he thought that he loved his partner, but then when his child come around, it was like, oh, no, this is love. You can get lost, kind of thing. And I definitely don't feel that, but there is an element where the love for your child is undeniable and it's just consistently there. And with a partner, I just feel, animalistically speaking, as a man, it's to reproduce would be how we would survive and thrive. So when you're picking a partner, when you've done that duty, you may move on from that. So when you come into choice, I choose to love Chrissy now. I choose that our path together. I just love the human she is. I think she's a great person and I want to be with her. But I do wonder, like, animalistically, if your brain just naturally shuts off and then you choose to showcase love and be in love.
Yeah, well,
that's a feeling.
There's an American psychologist who invented a term, limerence, which I'd quite like to do a future podcast on this one subject, and that's the idea that romantic pair bonding love, that's that feeling like it's a virus that you can't bear to not be with someone. It is like a mental illness in a way, that it only lasts about 3 years or so.
Yeah.
And the thinking is that it's an evolutionary adaptation for it. That's long enough for a woman to get impregnated, gestation period, and then get a baby to weaning. So it's good to have a go around for that length of time.
Right.
And then it can move on. There's also, there's quite a bit of...
I knew there'd be a theory in this.
What, in the classic honeymoon period?
Yeah, well, there's quite a bit of evidence, that women benefit from having babies from more than one man, and obviously the wider a man can spread his seed, the more opportunities there are to pass it on to the next generation. So this idea of longer term pair bonding may not be what we're wired up to do as animals.
Yeah. But
I think there is an enormous benefit from it. When I first got married, I went and met my dad for a pub. Is he at the pub?
My dad for a pub.
So somebody slipped something in my drink.
David, he's drunk this week.
Honestly, I've not had a drink since watching the rugby last weekend. So, I went to meet my dad and his mates down at the pub. And I said, Sue and I know we're going to be together forever now. And my dad said, you can't say that. And all of his older mates agreed. And I thought they were insane. But after all these years of marriage, I realised it's true, because there are a couple of times during our marriage where I sort of took things for granted, took my eye off the ball a bit, and realised that the relationship could have failed. And that actually it does take work and effort and choice to maintain a relationship in the longer term.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we're naturally wired to be that way. But the benefits that accrue from it, I think, are massive. And I think it's not just the person that you're living with, your partner or your husband, wife. It's friends too.
Yeah.
Friends let you down. You let your friends down from some time. But do you choose to forgive that?
Yeah. I mean, I know exactly what you're saying, especially with the initial honeymoon period, or what the other term you used.
Limerence was the
limerence. Word. It's a similar sort of thing in the way I take it. But it's because you're growing together. It's strange. Like mine and Stacey's relationship will always be a teenage relationship initially, because that's how it started. And sometimes it's the nicest thing to look back on and lean into and be together and be like, oh my God, we've done. Because it's not like you wear it like a medal because you've been together so long, but you just accept each other a little bit easier. But there are insane times, and I mean, I had a similar experience that you're saying when I met up and I was working at Thornton's, and Stacey was probably my second, third serious girlfriend. Not serious with the first ones, because I was at college, obviously just an extremely insane teenager, just wanting to find someone, desperate for love. And I put myself out there a little bit, and I got really burnt really quick. And I used to have I had a motorbike, and back in the day, what was that, 1997, 98, I had my own wheels, so I was independent. But I found that I was the one doing all the running, and I was going above and beyond and trying to over-deliver on everything. And it felt exhausting. And it got to the point where it was kind of a false narrative all the time, because I wasn't being myself and they weren't accepting me for who I was. They were taking advantage of what I could give them. And it wasn't like I was rich or anything, but if they wanted this or wanted that and I'd go and pick it up from them or spoil them or treat them with all the money I had, it was literally, it's yours. Whereas with Stace, she took a chance on a floppy-haired idiot with a moped and kind of stuck with me through everything. Because one of the first things, I had a moped. I put Stace on the back to drive her home one day, which was illegal. As we got pulled up, I said to her, you're on your period, you're really ill, just play along. And she did, like a genius. She just played along. And it was one of them where I thought, I could have lost her at this point. This was one of those things where she could be like, I don't need this. And through all the scrapes, through everything we've ever done, I'm glad that she's the main one that's always been there. Do you know what I mean? I've got a couple of really close friends that I can rely on, but I have lost a lot of friends because they've ultimately showed me their true colours and let me down and show me that they don't love me as much as I love them.
So maybe you discovered that they weren't friends; they were acquaintances.
Exactly. And that is that's such a rug sweeping, like a rug pulling moment, because when you give everything to someone, and they don't give it back. And I'm not saying you give to receive, but when you think this is where we're at, we're good, we are solid, and then all of a sudden they just completely destroy your world, and you think, oh shit, yeah, I didn't mean anything to you. I was being taken advantage of, and I suppose I was guilty of trying to please people too much, and it was disappointing when it was validated for me.
Yeah, they taught you a valuable lesson, though.
Yes, you did.
What do you call then for people that are in that small circle where you've got your real close friends, your partner, your kids? We're expressing that as love, and it feels really pure and powerful. But sort of acquaintances, are they just likes? People that you know,
they add a bit of colour, don't they?
Yeah, okay.
It's like garnish on the plate, but it's not the main. It's not the main dish.
So do you feel love is then just for those people?
Well, it can spring up unexpectedly because you don't plan for it. I feel love for you, Mikey. Yet we've known each other, slightly less than a year.
Yeah.
I think we met in March last year, so we're just about coming up to our first anniversary. But
we're coming out to you, Owen.
But someone once said that you know your friends better in the first moment of meeting than an acquaintance in a lifetime.
It's true.
And there's just something about the chemistry that just gels.
Yeah.
It's funny as well, though, because we're talking a lot of people, but then when you go out on your own for a walk or something, and then you see nature in its purest, and that feeling can go to that moment as well. So that's strange, isn't it? That you can put attachment to love in those moments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think sometimes, not all the time, it can be that you're content, or that you're just at peace with yourself. Does that make sense?
Well, I think sufficiency is a key word here, isn't it? That things are enough.
Yes. And sometimes you could have been through a traumatic experience and then realise, all that shit that I was worried about, it's not important. Before you went through your trauma, you were worried about your next PlayStation game, or going out for a drink, or you're falling out about sandals, or whatever the shit is. As soon as you have an experience that you think, oh my God, what am I doing? And I can remember at Christmas that we were trying to plan everything, get everything ready, and then all of a sudden there was just like this really fine sniper vision of everything coming into line in at the same time. I got to hang out with David, I got to see my family, I spoke to my brother, loads of little things that ultimately wouldn't have been like a real hallelujah moment before, but it just settled me at the core, just to go, everything's good. Work was good. I put my out of office on. Just those sort of moments where, if you can take a second to really appreciate them, and like you say, I mean, for me, a big one is taking the dogs for a walk. I get to turn my brain off. Don't get me wrong. I adore my children. I adore my wife, but they can frazzle me because they're my closest people. So it's not necessarily that it's just them that do it. If I was hanging out with you and I'd just got back from work and you were talking to me about the thing that Stacey was talking to me about, you'd be frazzling me.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, because they're the closest to me, they're the one that get it back. But to be able to just make a coffee, put my headphones on, grab the dogs, and I don't know what it is. I mean, I love my boys, you know that. But they just do what I need them to do. They don't ask for extra. They're just on board with my mission. And my mission is getting to the field, wandering around, having a mooch, getting back, we're done. And because they're like, sounds good to me, let's go, it's fantastic. And I can just really relax into myself at that point. And I can see the inner love of just appreciate. I don't want to say self-love because that's a completely different topic. But I can really appreciate the decision I've made or what I'm doing. And it just gives me a little bit more clarity because I'm not racing through, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, don't forget this, don't forget that. I mean, that will come back, but in that brief moment, I've just got a little bit of...
Well, there was an ungrammatical advertising campaign a few years ago that said, be more dog.
Oh, yeah, true.
And it couldn't be truer, really, because a dog knows how to love without condition. And, you get home, you had a tough day, your dog greets you, your dog's not going, "Oh, don't talk to me, man. I've had a crappy time myself."
Yeah.
It's just, you're here. That's the best thing in the world.
Which is genuinely why when the death of a pet happens, it's so hard.
Devastating.
Because you're just feeling this, but you've never done anything wrong. I can't actually sit back through my mind and find one of those moments. Whereas it's probably a natural thing to do as a human. When it's a human and human, you can probably as a coping mechanism go to some real harsh moments you've spent together, and that sort of eases it a little bit.
Well, here's the thing, though, with your attitude towards a pet, is the different love that you have, and the acceptance, is that your dog craps on the carpet.
True.
You don't go, "I'm not speaking to you again.
Yeah.
We're done now." Because you
blame
might
on
do
you
that
as
to
well.
a human.
Yeah.
You know,
If my wife did it, I'd have a well, I've got the bag.
But you accept, okay, well, that's kind of what a dog does sometimes if it makes a mistake, and you love them anyway.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing about acceptance unconditionally. And when you make that choice to do that, because I don't think it happens automatically, you have to choose to do it. There's great enrichment to all of your relationships.
Yeah. I mean, there are some awful people that don't treat pets properly, but they're not the ones that we're trying to talk to, unless we are. I was trying to say stop doing that. But I think a lot of times, I think it comes down to your core makeup, because I've experienced, even recently, me as a person, I like to talk about things. So I'm not always trying to excuse an action, but on occasion, I will need to explain a decision I've made to get to a certain point. And unfortunately, it could be my wife, it could be my boss, it could be anyone that has assumed my intent or assumed a part of this journey. Now, my way of dealing is sitting down and talking about it and explaining. And my wife's way of dealing with things is, we'll leave it, it's gone, we'll just carry on. And the problem is, I need to get on board with her, in my opinion. I need to try and get on board with how she deals with it. But she kind of half needs, in my opinion, to try and work the way I work, so that we're going 50-50 all the time. But that's not, it's very easy to say that, but it's not necessarily how it works out, because I want to explain something, because whatever I do is with, honestly, the best of intentions. But for whatever comedy of errors that it seems to fuck up each time, that I then have to try and and she would be quite happy with going, "Leave it, don't worry, don't talk to me, just leave it." But I can't do that.
But is that a need for you to justify yourself?
Exactly. And that's where I really struggle. And I think that's where the love, it doesn't go on hold. It becomes secondary to the issue. And unfortunately, the issue isn't necessarily a problem if we just fucked it off and just went back to the love. But because sometimes I need to say, yeah, but I did that because of this, and then that would have led to this, and it would have given you this. And it's all, look, I was being good. And I don't know if that's a childhood trauma or an issue from growing up and being a parent, a child of divorce, or there's a lot of issues that are in my background that if someone sat me down, that I'm sure we'd be able to obviously pinpoint certain things. I don't think we need to, but I'm sure there was issues there. But for me, I'm not always trying to please, but I need them to know that I was trying my hardest. It was good intent,
which is rooted probably in a little bit of insecurity.
But yeah, quite possibly.
Yeah. How do you help people that struggle to love? I mean, is that very just too elusive and too arbitrary?
Yes and no, because everyone's different. But the things I'll look at is that I don't think anyone is incapable of love, but people are frightened of it.
Yeah. Is that because of the other side of love?
It was the possibility of loss, or perhaps for some people, the expectation, the certainty of loss. So, I mean, I think I might have mentioned this before, that we didn't have a dog for 12 years because I couldn't bear the pain of losing another dog.
Yeah, I remember them days.
And as soon as I got another dog, which Owen had been going on at me for I don't know how long.
Longer than getting an
He used to make a fuss of his dog. He used to make a fuss of his dogs. And as soon as I got it, I thought, I've been a fool.
Yeah.
Because I've cut myself from all this. And every day I worry about losing my dog again, but that's part of loving, isn't it?
Yes.
I recently listened to an audio book by Sarah Pascoe, the comedian, and she said if you're worrying about endings getting in the way of starting something, it's like going to Alton Towers and spending the whole day queuing by the exit because it's going to close at some point.
Yeah.
And you're not getting on any of the rides.
How do you alleviate that feeling a little though? Because I do it with my cat. Like, I love that cat to absolute bits, and when I'm stroking, and then thoughts pop in. It's like, oh, one day you're going to go, and then I go into this existential crisis, and it gets worse.
It's about seeing it. That is the source of meaning.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's only when you've got the skin in the game that it matters. You know, you could have a game of poker for matchsticks, and who cares? You know, but if you've got 50 quid on the table,
everything,
you're caring.
Yeah.
But
it's the price of life, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it all comes down to memories. That is, in my opinion, that's the meaning of life, is creating memories. Because that's all you've got. That's all you'll ever have, to me, because it's making the most of whatever you're doing at that point. Because whenever you're on your own thinking about a happy time, it's not during the happy time, it's afterwards. And I think the pet thing is a big one, and it makes you really human, because the love that you have for something it then turns to the fear of losing it.
Yeah.
And I suppose, I mean, it happened the other day. Stacey was on her phone and she was looking, Facebook memories or Google photo memories, and she just turned around, showed me a picture of my old boy, and I nearly started crying immediately, because he meant so much. He still does. I mean, he was the man. He was a grumpy arsehole, but he was my dude. And honestly,
he was a special guy.
Yeah, he was the best therapy dog that I've ever had in my life. He saved me. And even though I've got the other 3 dogs looking at me going, "Why'd you look upset, Dad?" I'm like, well, this guy was kind of better than you.
Yeah. Ouch.
But you are kind of now better than him, because we're later on in life, and this is part of the journey. But I treasure the memories that I have of him. And even Libby, she started crying yesterday because Ben's eyes are now, he's 11, and they started to go a bit grey, but glazed a bit. And she just burst into tears, said, "I don't want him to go. I love him." And I was like, God, like...
I agree with you on everything there. I do, yeah. Because the love that I've got for my cat, because I couldn't have my cat at this house for ages and I wasn't away with him, but I was just constantly in my head thinking about him, and the time, like when he was there in the hardest days at the farm and all them kind of things. And it was the memories. And again, I love Ella to absolute bits, but when she was first born in that room and it's all quite alien, you're not sure what's going off, like I felt love in that moment, but not like I feel now.
Yeah.
And the reason I feel that love so strongly now is just because of when she made me laugh that time, or when she made me, and all. So it is those memories that you.
I think also typically men take longer to bond with babies than women. Women, they've bonded after conception very often, but not always. Again, it's not a guarantee.
Yeah.
And this whole thing about that fear of loss. It's like our fear of our own mortality. You can weaponize it to enjoy the moment more.
Yeah.
So, okay, I am going to lose this at some point, so I'm going to value it today.
Yeah.
And you think about your pet, they're going to go one day.
Yeah.
Hopefully, because if they don't, then you've died.
Yeah.
You see, this is the horrible conundrum about life and existence. So let's enjoy today. Let's make the most of it, and let's make it the most for them as well.
Yeah.
That is beautiful. Yeah.
But I think it's putting yourself in the uncomfortable position sometimes. And I think I have massively got Stace to thank for this, because she's the one that will drive everything we do. We're going to Thailand in April. At Christmas, we've got this booked. We've got this booked. We've got this booked. If it was up to me, as a 41-year-old man, I'd probably play PlayStation and have a couple of beers and hang out with the dogs.
Yeah.
But the problem is I had a good childhood, and I mean it was a few rocky bits, but I had a good childhood, and I kind of Stace goes above and beyond with our girls, like above and beyond. And the thing is, I can't ever get mad at it, because it's not above and beyond to the point where they're being spoiled. It's above and beyond to where she wants to enjoy every moment. And I saw behind the curtain the other day, because she's worried that because I've got a good memory. And her memory, she doesn't think is that good, because I'll say, "Oh no, remember we did this," and she can't remember. Like, she'll see a picture and I'll say, "Oh, we did that day, and this and this and this," and it scares her. It scares her because she remembers it less and less. And I think I saw behind the curtain and realised that the absolute undying love that she's got for these girls, even though one of them is a teenager and is an absolute fucking weapon at the minute and hates us, is one of those things that she still is desperately trying to ensure that it's the best it could ever be. And I cannot love her more for that, because for me, it's easier to stay on the settee and chill out. But actually, the right thing to do is get in the car, go to Matlock, go to Blackrock, walk with the dogs. Even though they all hate you for it, do that. And I think it's such a strange thing what love drives you to do.
I think we're all three of us very blessed in the fortunate situations we find ourselves in our relationships.
Yeah.
The women that we've been blessed with, the making of us.
Yeah.
Well, they kept us out of prison and they kept us alive, haven't they?
Yeah, I would not be here if it wasn't for Sue.
Yeah,
There's
I can say the
question
same.
about that.
I mean, love can drive some people a bit wacky, can't it? Thinking of that song by Eminem, Stan.
Yeah.
And he feels he loves this person so much, and he's writing this letter to him, and it's just getting wilder and wilder.
Is that love or is that an obsession?
I wonder, do you equate that to love?
Yeah, but anyway, I got a client I've worked with who was having troubles in a romantic relationship. It wasn't quite over, but not quite there either. And I pointed out that the difference between a stalker and a romantic hero is whether it works.
Yeah.
because
yeah.
The rocking up with flowers and doing all that, might be a bit stalkerish, but only if it's what she wants. It's It's the outcome kind of determines the rightness of the action.
And I like something you just said though before, where it's making sure they have a good time. They're in the sort of happy seat, and I think that is love for me.
Yeah.
If you're really focused on, I just want the best for them.
Yeah, it's not what you get, it's what you give.
Yeah. I think I love that.
And that whole idea that, it's been said about parenting that a parent can only be as happy as their unhappiest child. And I think that if you're in a relationship with someone, if they're unhappy, that's really going to affect your happiness.
Of course.
If you love them. But you're not blaming them or getting angry at them being unhappy. It's okay. And neither are you trying to fix them. It's accepting it sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But sometimes the only option we've got is to not make things worse because we can't make things better.
Yeah. And I think it's the open and honesty side of things more than anything. Being brutally honest. There's no games, there's no mind games, there's no reverse psychology or double negatives. It's just, look, I want you to be happy and I want you to want me to be happy. So I think when people find, like when they say perfect harmony or they're in sync, it's what you just mentioned, that you want them to be happy. You're not doing it to take something. You purely want to give them joy. But at the same time, the perfect sync is that they are wanting you to be happy.
Yeah.
Like, I literally sat down the other day and Stacey went, don't go in such and such wardrobe. It's your birthday present. And I was like, what? No, you didn't need to do that. That was not. I don't want anything. I don't need anything. The price of everything at the minute is insane. I'm more worried about paying bills than fucking anything else. Yeah. But like I say, we're going away, and because by the time we get back, it's nearly my birthday. She's super organised, but it wasn't a case that she was flexing to say, look what I bought you. It was a case she didn't want to ruin the surprise. She wanted it to be special. And it was almost an overwhelming feeling that she's in March in her most stressed situation. Like our youngest is going up to secondary school soon. She's got so much stuff going on. She's got holiday to prepare for. She's got my eldest who's about to have GCSEs. Loads of mental shit. And she's taking the time to sit down, find me something, get it. And it's one of them that I'm forever surprised and see how lucky I am. But it's more knowing that you are just there for each other. You've got each other's back, no matter what. And I think when you find someone like that, it could be a friend. So Sam's just rang me. Sam mentioned Sam before. I went to nursery with him. We were each other's best man at our weddings. And I feel forever fortunate that I have at least one, if not two or three people that I know, no matter what time of day it is, no matter what's happened, I can ring them. And I have had people where I thought I had that and they weren't there. And I know I've spoke about this before. It's almost like a currency. Once someone shows you their true colours, it saves you so much more. Because it doesn't mean that you have to cut ties with someone, but it just, the level of commitment that you need to give to them. Does that make sense? To me anyway. But I mean, Sam rang me the other day. It was Sunday morning. Can you come out? I've got such and such is broken down. We need to tow him away. And I was like, yeah, no worries. And when I got there, I could just see just this stress just drain. And he went, oh, thank fuck. I was like, what are we doing? And between us, we dealt with it within a couple of minutes. And I think that's where the deep love. We didn't need to say to each other afterwards, thanks, you had my back, love you, and all the rest of it. It's just you fundamentally know. Like, I know for a fact David will be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
I know he will. Because some people may see it as a PlayStation night or a games night or hanging out with the boys. It is my personal counselling session. It's our personal. Like, I love him like a brother because the amount of shit we give each other, I don't think you could legally counsel that way. But without that, I would be a broken person because I do get support from other places, but I also get slapped about to be able to be reminded, oi, sharpen up. Like, if I go on and I say, this has happened, I'm fuming, this, and then he goes, oi, you're being an idiot. I'm like, if David said it, I probably am. Shit. And it's vital.
And that's love, because that knowing.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, he's not doing it for any financial gain. He's not doing it for any bragging rights. It's not promoted. It's not broadcast on Facebook. He's just being the dude. He's just being a bro. And I think it's comforting when you find that. And I think it has to organically find itself. Because we could have killed each other when we first met each other. I know we've said it a number of times, but we literally couldn't stand to be around each other. But as the water settles, and obviously we find a new shoreline, it just seems to be right.
I didn't want to kill you. I found you very irritating.
You would have killed me if you had the chance. You just couldn't catch me. I was too fast.
It's probably where a lot of men's mental health comes from, and depression is because I think these feelings and relationships are vital to have people that you can openly and expressively say, I love this person, what a great human to have in my life. But that toxic masculinity kind of attitude, you can't say, I love you to somebody, and you can't really value it in the way that we feel we can. I suppose that's where a lot of that depression may come from, for men in particular. It's probably easier for women to say, oh, I love this person, I love this person.
Yeah, but I think it's more often that women say it but don't mean it, where men don't say it but would mean it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I do, yeah.
It's easy for girls to say, love you, babe. But then they actually get home and go, oh my God, did you see what she was wearing? Anna Eyes. And she said this.
But I think also there's quite a bit of male relationships, male friendships, which is masquerading as love.
Yes, I know where you're going with that. 30
years ago, I was drinking far too much, ridiculous amounts, and I thought I had lots of really good friends. When I stopped drinking, I didn't have the friends.
Yeah.
So it was just, oh, I really love you, mate, down the pub. But it wasn't real.
In fact, you're just helping me have a good night.
Yeah, it was a simulation of it. It was the alcohol just stimulating that feeling.
Yeah.
It wasn't real.
No.
It's, friendship, love is sort of in the dirty moments when it's not comfortable.
Yeah.
Just, and being there no matter what. And it's being able to be authentic with each other. We talk about that quite a bit.
Yeah.
So you mentioned about being honest. I don't think it's always necessary to be honest, not brutally honest, because it's useful to think, particularly, in a marriage, is it going to help to say that?
Yeah.
And often the answer is no. I always know exactly the right thing to say to my wife, but often after I've said something else,
Yeah.
And it's trying to get it right. So, what the Cabinet Secretary described as being economical with the truth can be useful.
It's because you're going against the rule that we'd already spoken about, where you want them to be happier in this moment. And if you're going to be just, I say it as it is, I say the truth, well, you're breaking that rule there then.
Yeah, it's being a bit arrogant, isn't it, in a way?
Being thoughtful of their feelings.
Yeah, exactly.
Another thing for love is when they make you feel safe. Like, I was with my best mate the other day at the pool hall. He's a big, he's like 6'4", to be fair, and he's a prison guard. But we were watching the Jake Paul fight, and is it Jake Paul? Yeah, he was on. And God, we were in the strangest pool hall, but everybody on it, drinking, and then it just turned into Fight Central. But this guy that I've been to Australia with, travelled the world with, love him to absolute bits. We're drinking water, but just seeing him there, I had that feeling of safety. I was like, whatever happens tonight, me and you were together, we're in this, just smiling at each other. And people were like, oh, you're outside, like, how exciting is this? And we're like, come here for pool, we're fine.
Yeah.
And I love that person, that connection that we've got where we're like, I don't need to say what you thinking, what you're going to do. We just look at each other, we smile, and we're like, I know, we've got this. It's a good feeling.
Yeah, so I think we've probably covered the subject for today.
Good subject.
Yeah, I think so. I think Owen got it right at the beginning when he said love is everything. And I think that's not far off the truth. So if love is a choice, then choose to love, because it's the best thing there is. Thank you.